Okay, so this is mathematics in terms of wrestling. Um, so again, we look at wrestling. There, when we get down, we break people down to their belly. That's what we want to do in wrestling. And so, in math, I kind of look at it as you're being broken down to your belly if you don't have any math knowledge. And to move through this course, you have to do the basics. You know, in order to win in the end, you have to be able to manipulate all these moves and all these techniques. Okay, and so the first technique that I like to think about is getting to your base. You can't do anything from your belly, and so the same thing is you cannot do any math if you don't have your base. And your base in this case is the order of operations. It's the PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. The parentheses, the exponent, the multiplication from left to right, multiplication division from left to right. That's why this arrow is here. It's to show you that you don't do division second and multiplication first, because it's a group, it's a unit. We look at the problem and we do multiplication division from left to right throughout the whole problem. And then we do addition subtraction from left to right. Okay? In the same aspect, from your base, you work your way up. Okay? You want to get up and out, or you want to reverse. That's the biggest thing in wrestling, is you want to get up and out, or you want to reverse. And there's a lot of up and outs, but the basic thing is to stand up. Okay? It's the most basic move in wrestling, is to just get up. Just get up on 2 feet. Okay? And I like to look at this as your SAT map, or when you're solving equations. It's a very basic operation in beginning algebra, is knowing how to solve equations. You know, getting the variable by itself. And what you have to do is you look at the equation and you deal with things. Sometimes you have an equation and you've got to do PEMDAS first before you can do SAT map, right? But when you get to a point of SAT map, then that's when you would do, you know, your subtraction addition from left to right, and whatever's adding or subtracting to the variable, you're going to do the opposite. Just do the opposite. Okay? And the same thing, once you've done all the subtract, whatever's adding and subtracting to the variable, now you can take care of anything that's multiplying or dividing or multiplying to the variable. Okay? Sorry. From left to right. So, you know, you're just looking at it and you're seeing what's multiplying or dividing the variable, and then you do the opposite to it. And eventually you'll get to a point where you're starting to look at the exponents. Okay? But that won't be until 99. Okay? So the exponents is basically x to the a, or x squared, x cubed, whatever it is. You're going to now get the variable alone, totally alone, by getting rid of that variable, or the whatever the power is of that monomial. Okay? And so once you're able to stand up, then you can do other things. You can do a reversal. It's called a stand-up switch. And you can choose to do the stand-up switch, or you don't have to stand up. You can do a reversal when you're down in your base. You're going to have to sit out, or you know, do push-back move. But there's a lot of moves in wrestling where you reverse the guy from your base. You can do far side rolls. It just depends on the quality of the wrestler you're working with. But a lot of these moves are very, very, very common at this thing. So we want to get control of that person eventually. So if we don't have to stand up, then we'll just try to reverse them. And I like to think of the reversal as the exponential rules. And so the exponential rules, I'm going to go through in a minute. First, I'm going to talk about these. And then as you move on, we talk about taking them down. Because if once you escape, you're both up, you got to be able to take them down. And I like to think of the takedown as being your y equals mx plus b, or being able to deal with linear functions. Okay? And so, whether you take them down or you reverse them, now it's all about control. And you have to control the math. You have to control the wrestler. And by controlling the math means you need to know factoring. Okay? You need to understand and know factoring. And eventually, you're going to try to turn them for the win. And so to win in algebra, you need to know all of this, but then you come in and you start to understand what functions are, what nonlinear functions are, what you do with the nonlinear, have really good nonlinear understanding. So that means you can graph nonlinearly, not just linear functions, but you get to graph nonlinear functions. Okay? So there's a lot to 9899, and this is the beginning of it. So let's come back and talk about this base of the PEMDAS and what we have to do with that. So I'm going to give you a basic problem. Say 2 times x minus 3 plus 4x is equal to 3 times 5x minus 6. Okay? And we're gonna solve this problem. Okay? So we're gonna use PEMDAS to solve it. So this is basically a problem that gets you to your base and then gets you to stand up. So we're gonna start with PEMDAS, and we're going to work our way to SAD-MEP with this problem. Okay, all in one. Okay, so what SAD-MEP says is it says I need to do the order of operations, whatever's happening. Okay, so the order of operations are parentheses. So I need to do what's in the parentheses first. So I need to subtract 3 from x. But I can't do that because they're not like terms. I can't take 3 from an unknown without knowing what it is. Right? And in this one, the same thing. 5x minus 6, I don't know what x is. So if I don't know what it is, I can't subtract from it. And it's actually 5x, so I'm good with that. Okay? So now I want to look at the next step, exponents. Okay? And the exponents, well, there aren't any, so I don't have to worry about that.
But the 4x and the 5x, is there an invisible 1?
Well, it's 5x and it's 4x, so there's no 1 there. There's an invisible 1 here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good question.
An invisible what?
1.
Oh, in front of the x.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
So now we need to do the exponents, but there aren't any, so I get to move on. So I move on to the next level, and that means multiplication division from left to right. So I go across and I just go, okay, what am I going to do first? Well, right there. I'm going to do this first, and I'm going to do what's called a distributive property. Or, as you know in this class, everybody on the block gets the paper. So everybody on the block, meaning this is the block, and these are the houses, and the houses are separated by the fence. The fence is the plus or the minus sign. Okay? So every time you see a plus or a minus, you know that it's a term. It's a house. Okay? It's called a term. And so these terms, we're going to find and collect like terms later. And we're going to look at all the houses on the block and make sure that there's some like terms. We're going to combine them. And if there aren't, then we can't combine them. So we've got 2 times x, which is 2x, And then we've got 2 times negative 3, which is negative 6. And then I just bring this down. Plus 4x equals, and then I keep looking for something that's multiplying or dividing, and I find this. And I know this is multiplying, so I got 3 times 5x, so I got 15x, and I've got 3 times negative 6, and I've got negative 18. Okay? And so, at this point, I have all my houses in line, and now I'm ready to do my addition subtraction. So what I'm adding and subtracting are the like terms, things that are like. So on this side of the equation, I notice that these are like. Okay? So at this point, I'm going to combine these guys. And because this is a plus 4 and a plus, this has a hidden plus, right? Mm-hmm. A plus 2, then I get 6x. Sorry. I get 6x. 2x plus 4x is 6x. Minus 6. So that just comes down because there's nothing to add it with. Equals, and then there's nothing to add this with, so this just comes down. 15x minus 18. Now at this point, this doesn't look like our basic solving. Our basic solving looks like this. 3x minus 2 equals 8. Okay? I can try to solve this using this. But you notice I only have one x on one side, one number equals a number. Okay? Until I get this situation set up, I can't do the solving yet. So in essence, we are still collecting like terms. But it's not really part of PEMDAS, and it's not really part of SATMAP. So it's kind of like that whole deal, like with, even in wrestling, if you're on your base, you're trying to get to your base, right? Well, you're going to push back. Now typically, you would be pulling your hips up, getting your hips way up, and pushing your body up, okay? So when you push your body up, you're at your base, and now you're stable, okay? And you can start to stand up. But until I'm at my base, I'm not stable. And right here, I am not at my base. So basically what's happening right here is I've got my hands in position to push back. I've got my legs out so I can push back, but my belly is still on the floor. My belly is still on the mat. I'm still like this. I still can't do anything until I get back. And a lot of people want to make the mistake of pushing up, and you can't just push up. So a lot of people with that mind go, well, I'm just going to move this over there. Well, that's great, as long as you do it properly. If you try to just push up, you've got somebody who's your weight with all their pressure pushing down on you. You might not be strong enough to push up. Okay? So it's not going to work unless you do it with good technique. And good technique means, this is where I like to introduce the grabbing the lowest term. Okay? The lowest variable. When you grab the lowest variable, every time, then you'll end up with a positive variable every time. Okay? And this is the difference between pushing up and pushing back. Because I can take 3 people and put them on my back. Well, not right now because I just had back surgery. But typically, 3 people, put them on my back, and I can push back and get up every time. And they can be 3 times my size, and I can still do it. Okay? Because pushing back gives you the leverage you need. It's great technique. And it gets you where you need to be. Okay? And this is great technique because eventually you'll be doing inequalities like these. And then when you divide or multiply by a negative number, you have to flip the sign. Well, with this, when you do it with the lowest variable first, you'll never have a negative variable, so you'll never divide or multiply by a negative.